We have two types of Xenia that have established themselves in this tank. Let's have a look at them. We have the beautiful pom-pom Xenia, which is kind of white and slightly purple. And that one I love. Over here, this kind of a bushing Xenia that just gets into everything. It's growing on, some of it's growing on the walls there. It's very difficult to remove. Today, we're gonna try tackling both of those and see if we can't get them under control. Well, that's kind of cool. He's settling out at the base there. I doubt there's enough light, but we'll see what happens. I just watched this video on YouTube, and a guy says for Xenia removal, get some forceps kind of deals or some tweezers that have that grabby edge. Oops, they have that grabby edge like this ones do. And that you should be able to just agitate it, which I've already done. You can see these are kind of flopping down. And that you should be able to just pull it and grab it. Now this Xenia here, this pom-pom Xenia, should be easier to grab than those little tiny ones. So I'm gonna see if that, nope, that did not work. And I'm pulling that out pretty quick because if I let any of that stuff float around in there, it's going to just repopulate itself. So there really doesn't seem to be, these guys are really rooted hard to that rock. And I don't see, trying to get down there and then I'm pinching really hard and, oh, look at that. That bad boy wants to come up. Wow, that worked. Unbelievable. So this pom-pom Xenia, this particular pom-pom Xenia, although there's some tiny little pieces down there you can still see, and they'll probably grow back up. I'm not going to try and clean them out. Maybe I'll try and clean them out with that straw. So this stuff might actually lend itself to being uprooted. Look at that. Whoa. That's pretty sweet. I really wish all Xenia was as easy to remove as this one is. This one has those nice big thick roots, and the trick was getting to the base of that root, and then as soon as you got down there, make sure you have a firm grip. The first time I tried to grab it, I was kind of grabbing at it, not at the base of that root, and so it didn't really work. But now I'm kind of getting the hang of it, and you kind of wiggle it around like that, and you kind of make sure you're nice and tight, and it just pulls itself away right off the rock. It's pretty easy to get rid of, or repopulate somewhere else. Frag it if you want. But the other, oops, I'm kind of slipping. Yep, see, I didn't quite grab that one as nicely. But the other Xenia is not easy. You cannot get at the base of those tree trunks because they're so tiny. So that's why we used a different method. I do believe I am in an all-out battle with F-Aiptasia. No. F-Aiptasia, I kind of feel like I've got a handle on it. I'm in an all-out battle with the Xenia. I love me some Xenia. I've got two types of Xenia inside the tank. One that's barely hanging on, the pom-pom Xenia. And then there's a little tiny brown Xenia, which I really like the way they look. But boy, those things just take off, right? Everybody warns you about them. And so if you don't like the way it looks, if you don't like the way Xenia looks in a tank, don't get it. I still like it, even though I'm battling it out with it. Someone on the forum posted a picture of this, and I thought, wow, that is pretty cool, because I've been using an X-Acto knife and siphoning that. I've been using an X-Acto knife and siphoning at the same time, and it's really difficult to get in there with two hands, and it kind of makes me, when something that difficult, makes me not want to do it. So many times my ideas end up on the cutting room floor. This is a kind of a good example of why. I had this bright idea to use an X-Acto knife and a vacuum hose and get in there and just cut the Xenia. You'd think it'd be easy, right? But the Xenia is just like so tenacious. It gets in every little crevice. Not as bad as F-Aiptasia though, but still it's pretty bad. But you can see here, both my hands have to be in the tank at the same time. I can't even see that I have a little bit of rock lodged in the tube because my eyes have to be above the tank. I can't put them on the side of the tank. It just gets crazy. And there's really not much more I can do other than just give up. We've got our little straw. These are stainless steel straws. And it's got a nice little bent angle on it. And so hopefully it can get in a lot of different crevasses. But what it isn't is it's not that sharp. I bet that doesn't matter. I bet it'll still, if you rub it in between the rocks. But I've been finding the X-Acto knife, because it's sharp, it enables me to get more of the Xenia away from the rock. So what I want to do is sharpen this. What I wish I had that I don't, here's a little round file. I wish it was tapered, but it's not. And it doesn't really fit in there. So what I do have though is a drill bit. This drill bit here is one of those drill bits that you use for plexiglass. It's tapered. And when you use it on plexiglass, it slowly drills into the plexiglass and pulls and cuts it away. And so what I'm hoping is that little rounded edge, when I put it in here, I can sharpen it. But there's one more thing that I kind of wish I had. Let me rephrase that. I digress. I wish that hole was not straight on. I wish it was at an angle. So kind of like an X-Acto knife, you'd have a little bit of a pointy tip. And so what I'm gonna do, and I don't recommend you do this, I'm gonna have a go at putting this on the chopping saw. The blade that's on my chop saw has a lot of teeth, but still the teeth are bigger than this straw. And so what you have to do is you have to go really, really slowly when you're cutting something small like this, and hopefully it doesn't muck the whole thing up. So we're gonna go and put that to the test and see what happens. Maybe put a 45-degree angle on there. I've got a lot of straws to play with. Well, that worked out pretty nice. I'm not sure if I would rather have the tip at the top of the angle or at the bottom of the angle, but I have enough straws to play with, so not worried about that. It almost actually leaves a pretty sharp point even without having to do anything else. It might be enough just filing the outside without actually having to file the inside. Let me go grab the flat file. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna file around the top. Just take my flat file here. It's a metal file, not a wood file. And I'll just kind of work it. Come on, spicy, work it. A filing montage. Look at that. That is pretty slick, I have to say. I could make that as sharp or as not sharp as I like. And I pretty much like it right there. So I'm gonna have a go. Heat gun. That's already pliable. There we go. this really does remind me of being at the dental office, and it kind of has the feel of a dental tool when you're in there and scraping the rock. It's like kind of like taking the plaque off of someone's teeth, I guess. I mean, I've never been in that situation, but I would imagine that's kind of how it feels. And it's kind of nice that it has that suction at the same time right on the tool itself. And that really makes this easier. It's actually kind of satisfying to just suck up that Xenia, and then when you're scraping it off the rock and you see it get sucked up inside and it ends up down in the bucket. Now, because I have such a thin tube attached to this straw, it's not filling up the bucket that much. So I'm using a 5-gallon bucket, and I removed this entire piece of Xenia here up against the rock. It took me about maybe a third of the bucket, and so I really feel like I had a lot of time to play around with this. I think this would work amazing on bubble algae also, although some bubble algae gets pretty big, so maybe you might want a bubble tea straw. That might work. And you probably don't even really need much of for bubble algae, you don't need to sharpen that thing. I bet you just have to rock it around and the bubbles will just suck right up nice and easy in there. But it's nice to know that there are a bunch of different straws for the different things that we want to scrape off our rock work. And this was a thumbs up for sure.
I was wondering why that ball kept getting bigger, and then it hit me.
That was awesome.
So bad. Yeah.